I've been going through a rough patch with my wife recently, so I decided to put in more effort to be more emotionally available and help around the house. One day, as I was charging an old iPad for my son to use, I accidentally stumbled upon some messages from my wife's Facebook Messenger that was still logged in. It was with a guy named JBC from her hometown. The messages weren't completely inappropriate, but I made a mental note to keep an eye on this. The next day, I left her some sweet notes reminding her how much I appreciated her, and she was once again in the corner of the living room, texting her girlfriends. I took the boy's iPad to the office, opened up Facebook Messenger, and watched in real time as my wife tore me down. My flaws, my insecurities, and secrets I entrusted to my partner. I managed to take screenshots, but she was deleting them as the conversation was unfolding. I wasn't emotionally capable of confronting her, so I drank, trying to figure out what to do. "What's wrong?" she asked. I just had a bad day." A couple minutes later, I was watching the iPad as the train wreck kept unfolding. Messages that were clearly inappropriate, and my wife was completely into it. JBC even sprinkled some "I love yous" in there. So became the worst 2 weeks of my life, drinking and losing myself in the relationship. I consulted a lawyer and had him draft a strong separation agreement stating that she would move out. She would get weekend visitation, no child support in the interim until the divorce is final. I also found out that JBC was coming to town to spend a weekend of quality time with my wife in a nice hotel. The next day, she's buttering me up and wanting to take a spa weekend with our daughter to relax, and when she gets back, we can really focus on our marriage. I go along with it. At this point, most of my feelings for her are completely gone, and I'm just seething with anger like I've never felt before. The day arrives. I take the day off work and I withdraw half of any money in any accounts we are joined on, and I left hers alone. I stop by at Office Max and I print out about 75 pages of Facebook Messenger screenshots. She texts me that she's taking off and that she loves me. I tell her to have fun. At about 8:30, I show up to the hotel and call my wife's phone from the lobby, but it goes straight to voicemail. So I walk up to the front desk and I ask if I can use the phone to be connected to JBC's room. It rings 3 times, and he picks up. "Hello? JBC, can you send my wife down to the lobby, please?" "I don't know what you're talking about." "Okay then, I guess I'll have to call Mrs. JBC and get her down here." Totally a bluff. I knew he was married and I knew her first name, but that was it. "You got 5 minutes." Not even 2 minutes later, my wife comes walking out of the elevator looking a little flustered. It's not what it seems. I'm not here to argue. The things that are said in this pile of papers are what's going on. The only way I'm not giving a copy of this to our daughter, your parents, and emailing it to everyone we know is if you move out immediately. Her professional life is built up around her image, so I knew she would protect it at all costs. Here is a separation agreement that I think is more than fair considering what's going on. I'm going to need you to look this over, sign it, and leave it at the house when you get your stuff. Do you want to look through these screenshots? No. Okay, go have fun with JBC. Do not come back to the house or I'm going to send this to everyone. As I'm exiting the lobby, I can hear her start to have a breakdown. She texted and called over and over wanting to talk. I just turned the phone off, and by the time Monday afternoon rolled around, there were movers getting her stuff, and she delivered the agreement. She wants another chance. She wants her family back, but I have no intention of ever taking her back. I tell her she needs to set up marriage counseling on her own at a time that works for me. I tell her that I can't live with her, but she should be around the children to try and maintain a relationship with them. So starts our new normal of her coming over the house, cooking, and having dinner with the kids 3 nights a week. We went to marriage counseling. It consisted of her working through her issues with a therapist trying to figure out why she did it, her begging for forgiveness, and me stoically playing the victim. I was never going to give her another chance. All I wanted to do was kill time, establish myself as the primary caregiver to the kids, and establish her as not having residency in the house. After a few months, I go to my own therapist and get diagnosed with depression and PTSD. I ask my work if it's possible to go to part-time for the foreseeable future to deal with personal issues. 6 months of therapy go by. I told her that I couldn't forgive her right now and that I wanted an amicable divorce. But she is still the love of my life, and maybe someday we could give it another try. She was devastated, but agreed to the divorce if I promised to try again someday. Once the divorce was filed, I needed the kids to want to stay with me. So I left the Google search for how to survive your wife's infidelity up on the shared PC at home. And I left some printed out infidelity articles not so hidden in the kitchen. My daughter found them and came to me crying. I told her she wasn't supposed to find those, that mom made a mistake, that mom still loves her, and that I would always be here for her. My sweet daughter, who used to hold my wife in such high regard, now wouldn't talk to her without screaming, and it crushed her. Not surprisingly, when the court needed statements from the kids a few months later, little brother followed big sister's lead, and they both wanted to stay with dad in the house they grew up in. When the divorce was finalized, I got the house, I got primary custody of the kids, I got awarded generous child support due to the difference in our incomes due to me working part-time. So in the eyes of my kids, I'm the patron saint of fatherhood for taking the high road and always being there. In the eyes of my ex, I'm the one that got away and that she will always pine for. I make her believe that there will be a chance that we will get back together. But that is never going to happen.